Hi friends, MD Vegan. Today is my gentle juice fasting day. I make a delicious live juice today. Greens I have, a cucumber, and some fruit to balance the bitter flavor of the greens. That's always what I do on a juice fasting day, that's once a week on the average. And fasting in general to me is a part of the diet. That means part of something that is a habit, that is a thing that I always do. Again and again and again. And a small change in a habit is not always easy. Yeah? To change a habit can be really challenging because the body is tuned to these habits, the rhythms of nature, and all these things. That's how we thrive. We do the things always in the same way, and it is so healthy to apply small changes every day. But on the whole line is always the same. We always do the things in the same way. We get up early, for example, and have our meals, and so on and so on. Fasting is a part of that, to me. That means I do it all the time. And so in order to do that all the time, I have to do it in a way that is easy and sustainable. And the gentle juice fasting, that's the thing that I found from my teacher, the Yogini Kaliji. She founded Tri Yoga. That is the flow yoga, the non-violent yoga style. She's also a vegan advocate, strong. She initiated the first vegan movement in the United States in the 80s. Fascinating story, long story. Later more about that. In other videos I talk about that sometime. But basically the non-violent lifestyle means that I do not harm myself and do not harm others. I seek to, at least possible. That's how the vegans say that with animals. We do that in a gentler way. We do not harm anything, anybody, not ourselves, not others, nothing. That being in the flow, living in the flow, compassionate lifestyle, that's the thing. And fasting also, earlier, many years ago, I did a hard fasting with water only and so, over long periods of time. Very effective. But, you get to a limit. You get to a point where you cannot push over. And that point is not easy to calculate. If I respect my personal limits, if I touch them with gentleness, then I feel the way how to change it, how to transcend these limits. If I push against the limits with violence, then it's hard to calculate what comes out of it. So the non-violent lifestyle is so effective because it is a universal law that if you push too hard, you get out of control. You're no longer in control. Violence is something you cannot calculate the outcome. That's the problem. That's my understanding of it. I don't know if that is written down somewhere. My explanation of non-violence, why that is such an universal law, is because of that. Because you're creating chaos if you do violence. You don't know what happens. A person that is violent is not calculable. People are afraid of the person. So these kind of things I think about. So the non-violent lifestyle leads to the gentle juice fasting. A fasting style that is very easy for everybody to adopt because only one day fasting, that's the basic idea, with juices, delicious juices. Everybody can do that if they are healthy. You don't need to even see a doctor if you are healthy. If you have health issues, you should always see a doctor and communicate with them if that is okay what you do on a fasting or so. But if you're a healthy person, you can always do a day of fasting, no problem, no more whatsoever. Longer than one day fasting could lead to cause problems physically. You don't even notice. Inside, an inner organ is harmed or so. You never know. But one day with juices, there is no harm you can do, possibly, if you're healthy. So that's why this kind of fasting basically is for everybody, we say. Yoga is the yoga style for everybody also. That's what Kaliji says. And yes, I agree to that. You can debate that, but that doesn't matter now. So it is you are able to do that if you want to. Yeah. Everybody is able to do that if they want to. That's the idea. And there's a way to find something that is fitting for you, suitable for you. Same with the fasting, with the gentle juice fasting. So the wonderful thing with the gentle juice fasting is, for me personally, that I create these fantastic juices every week. Yeah. Today, as I said, a cucumber juice, a green juice, and to do that in a nice way, I always have a certain idea of the kind of juice I make. The cucumber juice, for example, is not such an easy juice because the cucumber is a little bit bitter. So you have to add something if you want to make it delicious. And that's usually the fruit, like an apple, for example, or a piece of ginger or lemon or so, as a classical cucumber juice. So once you know that, once I know how to make a cucumber juice delicious, I can do the next step and say, okay, maybe I can combine the cucumber juice with another juice that is also delicious, that fits. For example, a juice with herbs, green herbs. They're also very powerful. Today I have 2 green herbs, a parsley and a basil. Here I show you a bunch of each. Yeah. The nice amount of green herbs. Green herbs are the healthiest, second healthiest food we have. Yeah. Spices and herbs, the second healthiest foods. The healthiest maybe greens, then green herbs and spices, and then fruit. That's the hierarchy of healthiest foods according to Western science. So these 2 herbs, the parsley and the basil, are both powerful herbs, very powerful and effective. The parsley is a cleansing herb, has a green sweet flavor, a sour flavor, sour green flavor. I always think that when I eat parsley, I think, oh, that is sour green flavor. I know the parsley flavor. It's a strong flavor, hard leaves. And it has a very cleansing effect. It gets the heavy metals out of the body. And that's what fasting is about. It's a cleansing, yeah? Cleansing in the first place, the body and the mind. The body cleanses, yeah? And the mind also, because we get rid of thoughts and feelings we don't need anymore. Yeah? It's a rebooting the system. So the parsley is a cleansing. And the basil, on the other side, is a rather wake-up herb. It wakes you up. There's a substance in the basil that wakes the brain up, makes it wake up. So it's a very interesting effect, cleansing and wake up. Perfect for a fasting day when I need energy to stay tuned. So I thought, why not combine parsley and basil to the cucumber juice? So how to do that? Yeah. So the way to use parsley in juices, the perfect way would be with a pear. Here's the pear. Parsley pear juice. That's a classic. I'll show you. You're going to try that. It's a wonderful flavor combination. The pear is a sweet and a little bit bitter. The parsley is a sour and green and a little bit bitter too, but it's sour at the same time. And sour relates to both bitter and sweet. It's perfect for pear. You gotta try that. It's delicious. So I could try the pear parsley combination with the cucumber, and with regard to the basil, there's a perfect combination is the orange. Orange and basil, another classic in my kitchen. I always did that. I have made many smoothies, for example, where I use basil and orange as the main flavors. Tastes wonderful. Yeah. So great together. The sweetness of the orange, the little sour, and the very strong, a little bit bitter too, flavor, more dry from the basil. And that is so nice together. So I have 2 perfect combinations here, basil and orange and parsley and pear, together with the cucumber. Here I have a cucumber. That's a large cucumber, cut into pieces for the juicer. And I said before, I have the apple for the cucumber. That is the classic cucumber juice, apple and cucumber. So that's what I do now. And what I also do, put into a classic cucumber juice with the apple, I usually put a little bit of celery in there, celery stalks. That is gives a little bit a smoky flavor. The cucumber is very light. It's all water, almost no fiber, very much water, 98% of water. Yeah. And the celery is the opposite. It's a huge amount of fiber. You can't even juice easily a celery stalk because it has so hard, long fibers that stick in the juicer. So you have to be a little bit careful. I cut it into short pieces, the celery stalks. So the juicer, the fiber is cut also into small, short stripes and won't roll around the juicer inside and block it. But I always take turns. I take, for example, a piece of cucumber, piece of apple, piece of pear, piece of celery, piece of orange, and so on. I take turns. I don't do juice all of the fruit, of one fruit at the same time. I always take turns, so that the juicer is easier job if you take turns. Because some of the stuffs here, some of the substances of the fruit and the vegetables are easier to juice physically, mechanically. Others are harder to juice, like the celery, for example, the greens in general. But the fruit, apple and orange and pear, are easier to juice. So if you take turns with that, you get it easier. Just a tip. So I have all these ingredients that are contributing to my juice today. It's a complicated juice with many ingredients. I hope it will be balanced in the end. And to round it up, to give it a little bit of boost, all in together, I add my dream team here of ginger and lemon, a 4-inch of ginger and a large lemon here. And I might even use some of the peel of a lemon here. Here's the lemon peel. I cut that off the lemon before. I saved it because while juicing, I will try a little bit of the peel if it works. Sometimes you put a little bit too much peel into a juice and recipe and you ruin the whole thing. It can be very strong. But if I have a chance to put the peel into a juice or in a recipe, I go for it because the lemon peel, the yellow color especially, is the healthiest part of the lemon. The lemony flavor is in that part. Yeah? So if you can, but it can't be too much. It can be very, very strong. So that's 9 ingredients today. Cucumber juice with parsley and basil. That's the main green ingredients. Then there is the celery stalk. There are 4 green parts here. Very strong cleansing juice. Green is cleansing in general. It's a cleansing power. Very strong. And then I have some fruit. Yeah. I have an apple. I have 2 pears, 2 apples, 2 oranges. And to balance all these strong green flavors, each fruit with a certain relation to one of the greens. The parsley has the pear. The basil has the orange, the cucumber has the apple. So let's see if it works. And I have to say, you have this trinity here, the orange, the pear, and the apple. If you juice that on its own, just you have an orange, apple, pear juice, you will be surprised how super delicious that is. I was surprised too. Earlier on, I tried that juice. I thought, wow, it's so nice and creamy. Yeah, so delicious. Sometimes I make that as a juice by itself if I want to have a little juice in between. Yeah, but in general, juices are more for a fasting day, because a regular meal and a not fasting day and a normal day, I have a whole food plant-based diet. That means I eat all of the fruit and the veggies, and not just the juice. That is not so healthy. Yeah, but that story I tell in other videos about why the fiber is reduced on a fasting day. In general, the idea is that you take time out for the digestion. The fiber is that what you cannot digest. At the same time, that what keeps digestion work. And on a regular day, the working digestion is the most important thing for your health, the physical part. You need that digestion to work properly, to have a good immune system. And that's what the fiber does, gives you a very good immune system. On a fasting day, you take the fiber away, no digestion, just pure energy, and the cleansing continues. It begins, the inner cleansing and the healing of the body, if you do it right and with moderation. So now I will do the juicing, come back in a moment when the juice is done, and I'll taste it for you. There we go. It's 1.5 liter juice, and it's a beautiful green color. See grass green here? Typically green juice. Yeah, they can be different. Yeah, but usually I try to put only green ingredients to it to keep the colors bright. This is a little bit broken green. Yeah, of course. For example, the oranges. Yeah, they would break it a little bit, and so on. You know, but usually I try to keep the colors bright. I mean, they don't mix the green and red usually. You can put here, if you put a beet juice, for example, into here, a beet, it becomes a red juice. Yeah, no problem. You can put in anything beet, and beet is always red juice. You can make it a darker red, a more deeper red, with green especially. That's nice. But when it turns brown or brownish, dirty colors, it doesn't look so nice. I do that sometimes too, but usually I don't try it because, you know, when you look at the color, juice, and you like it, usually it's a bright color, right? Of course, there are exceptions. Yeah, gray can be beautiful, but in food, I don't know. Usually I like it bright. Yeah, that's why I like fruit so much. They are colorful, bright, vibrant, high energy. Yeah, that's what a fasting day is for, you know. Get this energy, this high energy from the juices. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see what it tastes like. I put all the lemon in. I tried in between a little bit of the juice to see how much lemon peel I can put in, and I found where I put all the lemon peel in there. Yeah. So there was no problem. Let's see that. But I didn't taste it now. In the end, I have to mix, of course, the two batches. You see that is 2 containers here, and sometimes I juice a little bit more from the apple in the first container and a little bit more from the cucumber in the second container. So to get a homogeneous juice, I have to balance, of course. So after doing that now, I will taste it. So these juices here are basically the same. So I'll taste the smaller one. Let's see. Very excited? Nice. Strong green flavor, a little bit sour. If you want more sweetness, you might add an apple or so. It's always up to you. And my general rule is I begin with 2 apples or 2 oranges, or 2 apples and 2 oranges and 2 pears in this case. The more juice, the more greens I add for 1 cucumber. Usually I have 2 apples or so, like that. But that is up to you. Some people like it more, a little bit more bitter, a little more sweet, more sour. Then you add 1 more or less apple, more or less pears. But usually the ratio is 1 to 2, 1 vegetable and 2 fruit, or 3. That's really up to you. Just to give you an idea, a general idea. So now I show you what the juice looks like. And I really like it. And in these juices here with 9 ingredients, that's really a lot for my recipes. And it's a lot of ingredients here, high number. Beautiful, right? When I have such a high number, I have usually a complex flavor. That means there's many things in that flavor. I cannot even analyze everything. I don't know what's in there when I taste it. I know it, of course, I made the juice, but when you taste that juice, it's hard to discriminate what's in there. And if it's nicely balanced, you have right amount of apples and so on, and like 1 to 2 and so on, then altogether it's a fascinating full flavor. It's rich. It's not we tilted to one side, not too bitter, too sour, and so it's really rich and round and very complex with all these many flavors, because you know a plant has thousands of phytonutrients, nutrients that are only made by plants. And the more we learn Mainly that was what initiated by the vegan movement, because the science on the vegan food got better and better, and finally we knew vegan food is the healthier food, and then the big global movement began in 2014. That was, yeah, you can look that up in the Vegan Society. They have 70th anniversary 2014. They brought out a paper according to that birthday, and they said the same thing, that in this year there was an explosion of vegan everything, hotels, restaurants, menus, question asks, Google asks, and so on and so on. Online questions and so on. So the global vegan movement, they say, began 2014. At the same time when these big studies, the first big studies from Harvard and so, were published about the health benefits of a vegan diet as opposed to not vegan diet. So that began 2014, and since then the research has become more and more, and we learn more and more about these phytonutrients, the nutrients only made by plants. They haven't been researched before. Before we thought about vitamins, the vital things that we need to put in our body to survive, vital. The vitamins, vitamin A, B, C, and so on, and there are not so many. But the phytonutrients were considered just colors, flavors, textures, fragrances, all that, not so important. But a good chef knows that that is the most important thing, what it tastes like. It should taste great. Of course, if it's balanced, you don't eat any animals, of course. If you eat plants, as you should, then the food is always healthy, if it's whole food. It's very easy. And then the phytonutrients, there is 10,000s of them, 100,000s of them, literally. And they all have flavors, colors, textures, and so on. And now they understand that phytonutrients can be as vital as vitamins. The red color, for example, the lutein in the tomato, or others, it can be very important for the sleep, for the eyes, and for so many things. Long story. We don't know really how they work together, how they play together, how a flavor is composed, textures, flavors, fragrances. Also, the eye eats it first, these kind of things. All true. So it's a very complex thing, and if the flavor is really complex and balanced, it's full with many ingredients, it's a wonderful thing to enjoy. It's very powerful. So this is one of these juices which has a complex flavor. Mostly I make very simple things, but well, if with some knowledge of the basic ingredients, I can put some things together, make it a little bit more complex. That's the way how I do it, how I make my recipes, beginning with a small number of ingredients and then gradually continuing. So that's how I always know what a flavor will be like, almost, with some small changes. For you, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy. If you like my video, subscribe MD Vegan on YouTube. Have another recipe every single day, and find me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter. And there is a Facebook page called Tree Yoga Moon Fasting, where I put my juice recipes all together with a moon fasting calendar. And you can also join there and maybe try a little bit more about fasting. Feel free. Hope to see you soon.